let's call to order the January 4th organizational meeting of the Columbia Heights Board of Education. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Welcome. Welcome if you're watching at home. We'll start with the roll call, please.
Lewis?
Here.
Mueller?
Here.
Granlund?
Here.
Zimet?
Here.
Palmer? Here. Severson?
Here.
And Superintendent Stenvik?
Here. All right. That's a 6-member board, just to throw that out there. Our mission statement is creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed, and our core values are community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda for the meeting tonight. I have a motion to move the agenda forward.
So moved.
All right, Lorian, second.
Second, Mary.
I'm out of practice, I guess, in using this. Lorian, any discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries. We will move on to the organization of the board. And again, Laura, I want to remind you, Josh is back again. Josh is our parliamentarian, and he's, can you guys hear that? Josh is our parliamentarian, and he'll be here to help us make sure we're sticking to the rules. So Josh, since we can't see you, feel free to just, if you're observing anything, feel free to just insert yourself in the meeting. Is that fair? It's probably not the conventional way.
Yeah, or I can turn my camera on for this part. That's fine.
Okay, great. Okay. Let us know if you have any questions or concerns. Hopefully, this is my, I've been there.
You got this.
All right. So right now the school board chair will open the nomination for the board offices, and each board member may be nominated for any office. A nomination does not require a second, and each office is voted on separately. So we'll begin with the election of chair. Let me prompt that up because I even put my little script they gave me in here. Thank you, MSBA, for your kind help here. So I would like to call for a nomination for the chair of the board. Call for nominations.
I nominate Natty Severson for board chair.
Okay, Natty Severson has been nominated for board chair. Any other nominations? And I will say again, Natty Severson has been nominated for board chair. Any other nominations? All right. Now we do a roll call vote. It says we can appoint if none is done, but any discussion on before we vote? Laura?
I believe since we only have one nomination, we can just vote.
Just vote?
Yeah, I don't believe we don't have to do a roll call.
Okay.
Is that true?
Well, we can do a raise of hands. Technically, what I read, and Josh, maybe I want to just see if I read this correctly, is that if we only have one nomination, it can just be said that that person is. Otherwise, we can do show of hands or roll call vote, correct?
That's correct.
So just because it's the chair, let's go ahead and do the roll call vote, if you don't mind. Laura, if you wouldn't mind.
Zimet?
Yes.
You say Severson or the person? Or
Granlund? Yes. Mueller?
Severson, yes.
Lewis?
Severson.
Thanks.
Palmer? Severson?
Severson.
And Severson.
All right. Natty Severson then is the chair. Great. Thanks all. I'm excited for another year. It's been a fun learning curve. All right. Now I will be asking for nominations for the role of vice chair. And I would nominate Lorian Mueller. So Lorian Mueller has been nominated for vice chair. Any other nominations? Lori Mueller has been nominated for vice chair. Any other nominations? This is what they say I have to do. Seems. All right, discussion on the vice chair role. So Josh, this is where I can appoint now Lorian, or state Lorian is the board chair or vice chair?
Yeah, it's called acclamation. So since there's only one candidate, you would say that she is elected by acclamation.
Okay. Lorian Mueller then has been elected by acclamation to the role of vice chair. That leads us to the election clerk. The board, or election of the clerk, not the election clerk, that's something later. The board will be asked to elect a clerk. Nominations on the role of clerk. As we all look at each other.
Do you want it again?
I don't care. I mean, if somebody wants to do it, that's fine.
I can.
Get a lot of signatures.
Mary Granlund.
Okay, so Mary Granlund has been nominated for the role of clerk. Are there any other nominations?
We shake things up, and I will also nominate Laura Palmer.
Oh. Now Mary Granlund and Laura Palmer have been nominated for the role of clerk. Are there any other nominations? All right, discussion. It's a glamorous gig. You get to do the roll call votes. You get to sign a lot of stuff.
I guess, any thoughts from either one of you? I know Laura's done a fine job. I know, Mary, you've been here a year, still learning, but, looking at what your other roles may be.
I am open either way. I'm happy to do it, and I'm happy to have Laura do it. It's whatever works for the board as a whole.
Mary, why don't you do it?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We still need to vote. So we'll do a roll call vote again. And you say the person's last name, or their name, their full name. So
I guess I get to do it one more time here. Simon?
Granlund?
Granlund?
Granlund.
Mueller?
Granlund.
Severson?
Granlund.
Lewis?
Granlund.
Palmer? Granlund.
All right. Mary Granlund has been elected clerk of the board, and we'll move on to the election of treasurer. The board will be asked to elect a treasurer, so I'm asking for nominations for the role of treasurer.
I nominate Molly Lewis for the role of treasurer.
Beat me to it.
Yep.
Molly Lewis has been nominated for treasurer. Are there any other nominations for the role of treasurer? Once again, Molly Lewis has been nominated for the role of treasurer. Any other nomination? All right. Do you accept, I guess? By acclamation, Molly Lewis has been acclimated?
Elected by
Elected to,
via acclamation.
by acclamation, Molly Lewis is now the treasurer. Once again, the treasurer. And all the people with all the signatures say, thank you. All right.
That little
So-
itty bitty box all over again.
We move on to the appointment of a parliamentarian and the adoption of Robert's Rules of Order. So the position of parliamentarian is appointed by the chair. Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised except for modified by the school board policy, are recommended as the board's official rules. Do we appoint a chair and then vote to have Robert's Rules of Order as our governing? Is that the thing?
Parliamentarian.
You said chair.
Sorry.
It's the chair.
Yep, sorry, thank you. So we'll appoint a parliamentarian, and that has always historically been our very own Don Hoyam. Is that some,
It's one of us.
it's always
Laura,
one of us?
It's usually me.
Oh, it is
Laura.
you. Oh,
Laura has-
sorry. Man, you're a
Okay.
board
Does a
clerk.
fine job of it, too.
And
so
whenever,
I would recommend that she continue in that role. She's
okay, Laura.
by far the wisest and most experienced in that.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Laura, is that a role you're still comfortable in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for blessing us with your experience. All right, so I officially appoint Laura Palmer as our parliamentarian, and then we vote to adopt Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, do we do a vote on that one? All right. I have a motion, ask for a motion to move forward using Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, except for were modified by school board policy as our official board rules.
So moved.
Lorian?
Second.
All right, Lorian and Laura, hold on, I'm just gonna type that in here. Any discussion?
What would the other option be?
There are
There
other
are other
options.
options? I've
There
actually
are.
never looked into it.
There are, but that this is the one that gets used the most and people have the most familiarity with. I don't even remember what the other ones are. I just know I looked it up once.
It's good to have order. Imagine if you didn't, right?
Free-for-all is not an option. I'm
Right.
sure.
I mean, I would assume it is a legal option maybe, but like not a good idea, in my opinion. All right. Are we ready for a vote on this one? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries. We'll move on to you, meeting times and dates. Is this one still me? Yep. Let's see, this is a long one. Recommended motion is to declare that the meeting day and time for the regular school board meeting should be the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, with the exception of March, in which no meeting would be scheduled during spring break, July, in which the meeting would be on the third Tuesday, and December would only have one meeting. It's recommended that the board set a meeting day and time that is convenient for the members of the board, and it's also recommended that no new business shall be taken up by the school board after 10:45 p.m., except by unanimous consent of the board members. There will be an option of adding work sessions. Work sessions have been scheduled to the third Tuesday of the month, and boards, I'm reading the recommended motions, but it's not actually the dates, correct? Or is that what I need to read? That's the motion, all right. School board, the option of adding a work session. Work sessions have been scheduled the third Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m., and the school board meetings will be held in the district community room. Motion to move that forward.
So moved. Mary?
Mary?
Second, Molly.
Mary. Molly. All right, any discussion on that?
I would say if there's no conflict, that we would keep meeting dates and times the same for consistency and transparency's sake.
Yep.
I remember it came up a few weeks ago too, that we were trying to remember what time it was, how late we went. Does 10:45 seem exceptionally late to, or does that feel like still a good time? Because I think we were,
It's that no new activity can be taken up after that time, and believe it or not, we have pushed it a few times.
oh, you have, okay,
But it's not common.
right,
But it's there for, should we need it.
got it.
I think it's there when the community discussion forum gets particularly long.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's a good boundary, because we have to move on to get those other.
I think
Yeah.
if we made it earlier, we would actually probably, could
Run up on
potentially
it.
bump up to that more frequently.
Got it. Well, I count my lucky stars that we haven't run up on it in the last year.
Well, now you jinxed it.
Now I
Thank you.
jinxed us. You're welcome, everybody.
All right, any other discussion on that one? All right, we'll do a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries. We'll move on to the appointment of board representatives, and that I'm gonna have to open up for here. All right, so board representatives, this is sort of, if you open up your documents there to the board, the second one, the second attachment there, it shows the current, or this past year's representatives. So if you, you'll see the options also laid out there. And I know, Brenna, if you have any questions as we go here, feel free to ask questions. And this is sort of just an appointment, so we just discuss, walk through them and discuss one at a time who would like to do it. So we normally begin with the MSBA Legislative Liaison, which we see right now is Mary. And then we ask, is there anyone who would like to perform this role? And these are all we appoint these, but we do it by consensus, so.
Anybody else want it?
Want to tell us a little bit about what the duties are, maybe?
Oh, I'm blanking. They have meetings on Friday mornings, once a month, and it's just sort of hearing about what the policies related to school boards that they're pushing at the state level, and sort of just getting a sense of what's coming down the pike. So,
Does that interest anyone? Is that something you want to continue to do?
you want?
Are you able to do it on Fridays?
I am now. It was a lot harder, with my previous job, but I'm also open to giving it up. If nobody else wants it, I'll keep it, but if somebody has a burning desire, I'm happy to. Do you want it, Brenna?
I mean, I'd give it a whirl. Sounds interesting.
All right.
Do we want to go with Brenna then? Let her learn from that for a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, okay. We'll appoint Brenna to the MSBA as the MSBA Legislative Liaison, which brings us to EXU. Right now, that's you, Molly, and I know, Lauren, you've done that in the past, and we've gone through some ups and downs in that one. How's that going this year?
Hala had it up until
Oh.
October, so really I
So really, you
haven't
haven't had any.
had any
There's just an
participation.
annual meeting in April, so
Oh.
Molly probably hasn't.
Molly hasn't
It was
had
a couple
any-
years ago, and yeah, it's just an in-person meeting, I forget where.
Yep. So if you want, I can just give a little summary.
Yeah, please.
It's the Educational Cooperative Service Unit that we're members of, and I think, are you still on the
I am,
board of
yes.
that as well? There is an annual member meeting where they go through kind of all of the projects and things that they are providing that we can take advantage of. That meeting's usually in April of each year.
And I think we have a fair amount of confidence in our fellow peer who's at those meetings more regularly than the board members, so we get all the information.
I would be happy to take that back on if anybody else doesn't want it. I've enjoyed it in the past. But it's also it's a good one for people to learn too what options are available out there too.
I'm fine with you doing it.
All right,
Absolutely.
Have Lauren do it. All right, Minnesota State High School League. I've done this in the past. Molly is presently doing this. How's that going? I mean, I'm sure you've heard a lot more in the past COVID year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's a lot of just extra communication, kind of focused in on our school, communicating with Jake Henderson. And then they do have meetings occasionally. Everything with COVID has kind of been turned upside down, so whether or not we participate is up in the air. I know there was one time we had to vote, but, so there's an occasional thing like that, depending on what's
that-
going on.
Is that something you'd like to continue to do or shift away, or is that something
I would
that
like to
interests somebody else?
continue, but it's okay if someone else has any passion around that.
You've always shown a really great involvement with it. I'd like to see you continue with it.
Yep.
Yeah, you think, yeah.
It's not broken, don't fix it on that end.
All right, all right. We'll appoint Molly to the position of Minnesota State High School League. Northeast Metro Intermediate District 916 Board. So this is a higher not responsibility, but time commitment. You go to their board meetings. Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, they're scheduled for once a month, but then, and also as an as-needed?
Yes, so the board meeting is usually the first Wednesday of the month. And there can be additional, training sessions and things like that. There's not a lot of committees that are committee work that you do. There's a personnel committee that I've participated in. And then there's various assignments, just like we have our liaisons. There's also those various assignments, your EXU, your AMSD, so you have some additional meetings that you might actually participate in as well. And it's in White Bear Lake.
And I would just offer that Laura has always been an amazing advocate for our district and for the students in that community and district. So if you are open, I would love to see you continue to do that.
I love the work over at 916, and I just, I'm the liaison now to the foundation board, And so we're going to be doing some strategic planning and stuff. So I was kind of already going, well, if I don't get this again, maybe I can still continue with the foundation at least.
I would agree with Molly. I think you're very passionate about it. You represented us well and have brought information back to us from 916 well. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, we have a new superintendent there as well.
Yes,
So I think
yes.
having some continuity on the board with Laura's experience would be beneficial to 916 as well.
All right, so we're good with that? All right,
Absolutely.
We'll appoint Laura then to the Northeast Metro Intermediate District 916 Board. All right, liaison to the City of Columbia Heights, and that is Lorian still.
Yep, so I will say I've been in that role for 2 years. I attend a city council meeting once a month to just give school updates. I am more than willing to allow someone else to be in that role. If there looks to be, somebody wants to be that liaison, I will continue to do it if people would like me to, but it's a great opportunity for someone else to connect with the city as well.
Kind of wondering, Brenna, would you be interested in doing that?
I can.
Or Mary, if you're interested.
Yeah.
See, Brenna's got already on one of these, so if we're spreading the love, I don't know how we we do have 3 cities, though, so. And I would, I know we're not on Hilltop, but I went to one meeting and introduced myself to the council, and it didn't seem like, I think that was sufficient. But I could go to more. You could definitely go to more. They meet only one time a month, so if I remember correctly. So, and I think Fridley, we've always sought to be more active in engaging with Fridley too. So that would also be a good option for someone to be a little more attentive to bringing ourselves to the Fridley Council as we do have a good chunk of their city in our school district. So I don't know, thoughts on preference for any of those roles? I mean,
What about you, as our chair, maybe? I don't know, it's just a thought, like, is that something that?
I would
maybe-
be more apt to do something like Fridley or Hilltop. I know if we really want to keep up with monthly meetings, but is AMSD on here? Oh, we still have way more to go down there, the
Oh, yeah.
Business Council.
There's a lot.
Parliamentarian's already Laura, so that's already settled, but,
And I will say, I chose to go monthly.
yeah.
Our liaison information says quarterly, I believe. That was just a choice that I made to go monthly. There was some times that I had to miss a couple of meetings, but it was something that was important to me to work with our relationship with the city. So I don't want people to think that that's a requirement.
I think given all our, our ties to both the cities of Columbia Heights and Fridley and Hilltop, some level of interaction is good, so. Does something of any of those stand out to anyone? I was like, man, I'd love to do that.
I mean, I'll do Heights or Fridley, I don't care. If you've got a preference, Mary, I'll do whatever, or if somebody else wants to do it, that's fine.
I am happy to, hand over Fridley to Natty. You said you wanted that.
I could do Fridley, yeah.
Yeah.
It would push me to
And then
get up there and meet them.
if you want to do Heights or Hilltop, either one, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, I would probably do Heights over Hilltop.
Okay. I mean, I can, unless somebody else wants Hilltop.
I'm wondering if, because you've had a little more experience, if getting you with Columbia Heights, and if you're okay with that, Brenna. What do you guys think?
What was that?
What's that?
Mary's had a little more experience, like has a little more back knowledge on board, what's happening on the board. That might help with the city.
For Heights?
For Heights, but I think it's important with both cities, so I don't know. What do you guys think? Or,
I don't know that is back knowledge really, I don't think it's
I don't think
important.
so. I mean, I think really it was just
What's going on?
what's going on, yeah.
Okay. On our
What-
board.
Yeah, what's happening either on the board or even just talk about what, theater productions there are, just different opportunities for people to get involved, you know, in things that are happening. So I don't think experience on the board is a requirement of that.
I'm happy to take Hilltop then.
All right. Mary has Hilltop. We'll appoint Mary to the liaison of the city of Hilltop, Natty to the liaison of Fridley, and Brenna as liaison to the city of Columbia Heights. Good? Don, is that, I went out of order, but, all right. We have our two subcommittees on policy and community engagement, and we normally split the board. You know, you're going to be on one or the other. Subcommittee on community engagement meets on a minimum quarterly, and those meetings have tended to be after school board meetings, correct?
Yeah, we've been doing those after our work sessions.
And so as chair, I pop on to the policy subcommittee, and as vice chair, Lorian goes to the community engagement subcommittee, correct?
Yeah, that's what we made the vice chair, the chair of the subcommittee on community engagement.
Okay. So then we need two people in each of those.
I would really like to stay on the subcommittee on community engagement, if possible. Just because of the new, kind of all the new stuff we're doing, and we just met our student representative and things of that nature.
Yeah, and it feels like,
The
you know,
moving-
COVID has caused some pivoting and.
Right.
Yep. I agree with that. If you guys are okay with putting Molly back on there.
Brenna, which one would you like to do?
I don't care. I mean, community engagement's fine with me. It looks like that's where Hollow was. So, and that would kind of keep stuff status quo. Whatever works is fine.
I actually.
I'm going to
Go
throw it
ahead.
out there
No,
that
you
we
talk.
oftentimes switch things up more. So like Mary, if you're, because you've served on the subcommittee for a year, and oftentimes, and this is just historically, not to say it can't happen this way, or it has to happen, but kind of that first year, I think you were encouraged to be on the subcommittee on policy, just to learn more of the inner workings of the policies and how that correlates with the board. So I think, I'm going to say, I think all of us probably spent our first year on the subcommittee on policy. Okay,
Except for,
sorry. Okay, well,
except for me.
then there's that.
Brenna, I would recommend it. I learned a lot
But-
being, and I continue, me and Laura both like the policy meetings.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to
So,
leave you out of this, but I actually wanted to see if Mary had
a
a
preference.
preference to switch things up, because she has done the year. It can be a lot to do it 2 years in a row.
I loved policy subcommittee. Like in grad school, if they ever knew that I cared about macro stuff now, they would be surprised. But I'm, happy to do either one. Community engagement is, one of my loves too, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to learn on policy. I mean, I think the legislative liaison will hopefully be another place where I'm picking up some policy stuff. I'm really excited about what you guys are talking about on the community engagement space, especially meeting with kids in the high school and doing that kind of stuff. I've got a pretty solid relationship with Quat. I would love to work with her as well. So, I mean, I think I can do either, and it doesn't necessarily matter to me, but I think both could be good. So, whatever.
Mary, do you want to do that? Because I can step aside then and do the subcommittee on policy too.
No, that's fine. I can go to the community engagement, and I think we can continue to.
I think what Molly's saying is that Brenna would be on community engagement with Molly, and you would do policy.
Is that
That's
what?
what, I think that's what
Or
Brenna
if you
is
would
saying.
want to do community engagement, that's totally on the table too still. What's your preference?
What would you
I
want to do?
prefer policy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, there we go.
All right, so preferences seem to be Natty, Laura, and Mary on policy, and Brenna, Molly, and Lorian on community engagement. Yeah?
Work for everyone?
Everyone good? Laura, you didn't
Just
say
wanna
much,
make sure
but
you're-
I
I'm
think
fine. I was just going to wait to see
historically-
what was left over.
historically,
My preference
gonna be on
is policy, but, But that's
Yeah.
because
Well, if
that's my
everybody
happy
gets what they're
place.
passionate about, that means they're gonna be
You know,
great on
it's
those.
my
Hopefully,
happy
yeah.
place.
Right.
It's
We
just-
can share our passion with those students then, because
Yeah.
policy matters. Yeah. So does community engagement, though, not to minimize.
That's going to matter more,
I swear I've
because
been,
I believe that'll start to affect our policy.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I do too. All right, clear, that's clear over there? Yep, okay. Association of Metropolitan School Districts, AMSD, that's something I've done in the past, and I've really enjoyed it, but I kind of been hoarding it, so I do want to like hold it loosely. If someone wants to get up bright and early on Friday mornings, it's once a month on Friday mornings, and I make probably 2/3 of them, I would say, I'm able to attend in person, or not in person, where you have the option to go in person, and room seems shockingly full, but I'm still going on Zoom. It's a lot of people who are highly exposed, in my opinion, gathered in one room. So,
Is that attendance now over at Quora?
yes, yeah, it's right on Rice and like 36, kind of right over there.
You lost me when you said you had to wake up early.
Yeah, it starts at
It's
7
they like
a.m.
sharpen your mind though. They put you right down into conversations.
They always have somebody great speaking. You
It's
know,
really-
so
I've learned a lot.
There's lots of really good information that you can get there. And the other nice thing about it, it's not going to work for me. But I wish it could, because it is a great for networking. It really is. You know, you see a lot of people a lot of board members that are really involved, and they're more than happy to talk with you about different strategies they're using within their district as well.
I usually put the monthly information in the packet, in the Friday packet.
Yeah, and I would say when you get those, with all the information, make sure you're at least, like given that AMSD, especially when they send the legislative platforms, because you're really saying, okay, what do metropolitan area school districts actually agree are like the big priorities that we're going to put before the state legislature. It's super informative, and just going and hearing those worked out is teaching me a lot about legislation and different things like that. But
And that's all on their website, which is open access to anybody.
yeah, and I've passed on the website information to constituents in the district who are more interested. And so if you have people who are, all right, where can I have a voice? They have some great, and I would assume MSBA has similarly good stuff. And I think Brenna, you'll hit a lot of that there too. So.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do AMSD again.
I think you're more than willing. I think you'd like to do it.
I would like to, but I also don't want to cuddle it to death,
Yep.
Take it.
All right, Natty is appointed to AMSD. And then Heights Business Council, Lorraine, have they been active in the last
The
year?
meeting over Zoom, it's a quarterly meeting, although I'm not on the email list, and I think if there was a December meeting, I missed it, because I have to go search out the meetings. So I need to fix that if I stay on. I'd be more than happy to stay on. Those are Friday mornings, and I believe they've been meeting quarterly.
Also really early in the morning.
Yeah, I think it's like at 8.
Oh, I thought it was earlier.
It's not, I don't think it's at 7, I think it's at 8 o'clock on Friday mornings. I'd be happy to do that again.
Anyone else? A little less.
Work with Dawn to figure out how I get on their email list, or. Thank you. Perfect, thank you.
All right. Lorian, are we good with appointing Lorian there?
Yep.
All right. And our parliamentarian has already been appointed, and that's Laura. All right. So then we move on to the liaison to the schools. I know it's hard to interact with the schools.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we need to vote to approve all of those roles. All right. So should I reread them just to make sure? So the motion then is to appoint Brenna to the MSBA liaison, and as ex-su would be Lorian. Minnesota State High School League, the appointee would be Molly. Northeast Metro Intermediate School Board is Laura. City of Columbia Heights is Brenna. City of Fridley is Natty. City of Hilltop is Mary. The board subcommittee on policy is Natty, Laura, and Mary. And the school board subcommittee on community engagement is Lorian, Molly, that's your mashup name, and Brenna. And the AMSD is Natty. Heights Business Council is Lorian, and our parliamentarian is Laura. so can I have a motion to move that forward?
So moved.
All right, Laura,
Second.
Laura and Mary. Discussion.
Go team, go.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries. We'll move on to the liaison to the schools. Could we please, could I request we get the sheets that describe all the, like, liaison to schools and the, like, reps to the city, all the stuff that we've decided on?
Yep.
Okay.
That's
the
already-
packet.
Already on
In the
the
board
docket.
packet? All right, thank you.
Well, blank, but there's a space
But like
holder,
the
yeah.
job descriptions, you know, the role descriptions that we created? Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Attending so many events and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah, sweet. All right, and then I have the contact information for the Hilltop Board, so maybe we can do that. All right. Liaison to schools, so they are in effect through the school year. So will stay on with our current schools. I
Brenna
would,
be the high school then?
What's that?
I'd say right now on this list, it still has Hala as, on the high school.
as the
so
high
Brenna
school,
would take that.
so we put Brenna on the high school. That would be part of the motion then, is to add Brenna then to the high school. And then we would move on to making the next school year, next school calendar year liaisons. Does anyone have any preferences? We recommend, I'm sorry.
Oh.
We just recommend people rotate, Brenna. So sorry, Lauren, go ahead.
Nope, I would actually like the high school because that's, I think, my last one that I haven't been on yet.
Okay. Are people okay with that?
I was going to ask for the high, everybody's got a really good reason for needing the high, their last child. I've actually never been the liaison for the high school.
Oh, then you
So
go.
Wow. You
know,
never
this-
have, huh?
I never
I
have
haven't
because
either.
everybody's had
Wow.
somebody.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
There was always other,
Yeah.
and I was going to make a case for, I have 3 children. And I really, and just in terms of parenting, don't have much of an opportunity to get to the other schools. And so that was going to be my case, but I think you should do that. You've been here for a very long time to have not done. Well, I'm
It's a
sorry.
seniority. That
Sorry.
is a seniority thing.
I'm fine with either one of you. I can take a step back from that. I've got a couple more years yet that I can fulfill that one.
Go for it.
This might be my last year.
Laura, the high school, there it is. All right, any other,
I think I would throw it out there. Does anyone else have any preferences?
preferences? I don't have a strong preference, so I'm willing to,
I love North Park if I can have that, but whatever anybody's got preferences for.
I think that's great.
all right, Brenna at North Park?
I would be fine going back to the family center, which I had from 2020 to 21, because I did not liaison to the family center.
You did not
during-
liaise as well as
did
you would have
not
hoped.
liaise during COVID
Uh-huh.
at the family center, so I'd be happy to do a redo on that one.
Yeah, okay. Any objections to that? Marion, I like it. Valley View, Highland, CA,
I mean, I'd take Valley View in a heartbeat.
sure, yeah. Mary?
Has anyone taken Columbia Academy?
Nope,
I will take that one as a safe bet for
works because
future
that's me right now,
reasons.
and I feel like I haven't had much of a chance to liaise just with all the things, but I still have half a year. All right, so Molly, you have CA, and then that leaves Natty at Highland. I think that was my first liaison gig.
Oh, it was yours for the 2020, 2021.
21, oh, maybe it wasn't as long ago as I thought. All right, so do we do a vote on this one then, also done? Okay, so building liaison, so the motion would be to maintain the current roles with the exception of placing Brenna in as the liaison to Columbia Heights High School. Can I phrase it that way, Don? And then the motion then would be to appoint Laura to the high school, Molly to the Columbia Academy, Natty to Highland, Brenna to North Park, Mary to Valley View, and Lorian to the Family Center. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Lorian, second.
Second.
Was that Brenna? All right, Brenna. Discussion. All right, we'll vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Great. Salaries and per diem for school board members. All right, this is me again. To set the 2020 salaries, the motion is to set the 2022 salaries for all board members at $500 per month, to establish additional compensation for board officers as follows. Chair, $100 per month, and furthermore, that all members of the board may receive per diem payments over the salaries established by the Board of Education for meetings of NSBA, MSBA, mediation sessions, and other such meetings as may be approved by the board and which take the member away from his or her obligations of the regular workday or which are held on Saturday or Sunday. Said compensation for per diem is to be $50 per day for up to 4 hours and $100 per day in excess of 4 hours. Can I get a motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Laura,
Second.
second. Lorian, discussion. We've talked about this in previous years and looked at, Zena was kind enough to remind me of the, or Dawn. Oh, thanks, Dawn. Dawn was kind enough to remind me of the per diems, which we're not proposing a change. This would be the same as it's been as long as I've been on the board. And Laura, I don't know if this has been as long as
It hasn't changed. None of
Hasn't
this has changed.
we're a really meeting-heavy board compared to neighboring districts by a lot, actually. And so, yeah. Any other discussion on this? This would be a no change. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries. All right, we will welcome Brian Hennikins to talk to us about designation of depository resolution.
Thank you, Chair Severson, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenbeck. The items that I have are every year items that we do. None of the items really have any significant changes. This first one is the designation of depositories. So these are the financial institutions that we work with in the finance department to manage the funds for the school district. So this first one is to recommend the depositories as included in the attached resolution.
All right, and I'm going to read the resolution, and then I'm going to ask for a motion to move it forward. So it's the resolution designating depositories. Be it resolved that the following be designated as depositories for certain monies of this school district, and as such are authorized and directed to honor and or pay checks or orders when signed by the treasurer and the clerk for the withdrawal or transfer of funds on deposit in the said bank in whatever form. And it lists Northeast Bank, U.S. Bank, Minnesota School District Liquid Assets Fund Plus, Wells Fargo, and the Bank of America. Be it further resolved that the following investment brokers are hereby authorized and directed to honor orders when signed by the treasurer and the clerk for the withdrawal or transfer of funds on deposit in said instructions in whatever form, and that would be PMA Financial Network. Be it further resolved that in case such depositories in the designated bank shall at any time exceed $250,000, said depositories shall immediately furnish bond or securities in lieu of bond according to law, and the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, Minnesota, or any of the aforementioned depositories are hereby designated as the place for the safekeeping of all securities furnished in lieu of such bond. There it is. All right, can I get a motion to move this forward?
So moved.
Lorian, second?
Second.
Laura, discussion or questions for Brian? This is once again just a thing we do every year. All right. This is a roll call vote. You're back.
Be married.
Oh,
get
look
to
at
do
that. It was one last time. Yeah.
I've been waiting for the roll call vote. Okay. Palmer,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Zymet,
Yes.
Mueller,
Aye.
Severson,
Aye.
oh, and myself, Granlund, yes. Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, way to go. Well done. Resolution passes, I guess. And we will move on again to Director Hennikins for the designation of electronic transfer designees.
Thank you, Chair Severson, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenbeck. So every year annually, we need to, the board to take action on our designees for processing electronic transfers. And historically, this has always been the finance director and the controller, or in this case, the deputy director of finance and operations. So I'm seeking approval to authorize these designees.
All right, the motion is to approve the appointed designees for processing electronic transfers. And the designees are Brian Hennikins, Director of Finance and Operations, and Paula Steele, Deputy Director of Finance and Operations. Motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Lorian?
Second. Mary.
Mary? Discussion or questions? All right, this is a regular vote, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, we are back. Director Hennikins, it's all you tonight, huh?
I
For
thought I'd give you a break from all the other things.
Thank you, I appreciate it. This is one of those sweaty meetings for the chair.
Thank you, Chair Severson, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenbeck. The next item is designation of legal counsel and contacts. This isn't a change from the past. The board is being asked to designate a legal counsel as noted below. We have Margaret Skelton, Joe Langle, Laura Tubbs Booth, and others from Ratwick, Rozak, and Maloney. They're our primary law firm that we work with, whether it's employee law or special education or contracts. They're our primary law firm, and they've been very great to work with, and we wish to continue to. And then Andrea Hedke from Dorsey and Whitney. We primarily work with them on, we work with them on the bond referendum and also legal needs around that area, cash flow borrowing that we did. We worked with them, so that's their primary role for us.
All right, so the motion is to appoint designees as legal counsel of Margaret Skelton, Joseph Langle, Laura Tubbs Booth, and others of Ratwick, Rozak, and Maloney, and Andrea Hedke from Dorsey and Whitney. Motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Molly? Second?
Second.
Oh, Brenna?
Sure.
And any further discussion or questions for Brian?
I have one question.
Yep.
Did you say that there's no change on this one?
Yeah, no change from last year.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Great. Other questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries. And again, authorizing administrations to contract for budgeted items. Director Hennikins.
Thank you, Chair Severson, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenbeck. This last item I have, again, an annual item. The board must authorize the superintendent and the director of finance and operations to be able to enter into contracts or lease purchases for goods and services. This is annual, and as you can see, it's Minnesota statute 123B.52 that addresses this. It's in any normal school district, it would be the superintendent and a business manager. And so obviously myself as director of finance and operations, and Zena Stenbeck as the superintendent. Seeking approval this evening for that authorization.
All right, so the board's delegation of authority under this provision applies so that as long as the estimated amount of a transaction does not exceed $175,000, in those instances, the boards must explicitly authorize transactions. All right, so This is to, sorry, Brian, I'm just reiterating what you said.
Yep.
The title of business manager is director of finance and operations, right? Is that the?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
That is the motion.
So the motion is to designate the superintendent, director of finance to authorize lease, purchase, and contract for goods and services.
That
Within
is
the
it.
budget
The
as
board may
approved.
authorize its superintendent or business manager to lease, purchase, and contract for goods and services within the budget as approved by the board. All right, thanks. I like to say it. Read it.
So moved.
Thanks, Lorian. Second.
Second.
All right, Molly, any discussion?
Just to clarify and make sure I'm reading this correctly, Brian, does this, is that 175,000, is that number set by the statute?
Yes.
Okay, just,
Um,
that's,
a- Anything over 175,000, we're bringing to the school board. So that would be like a rough project, bringing to the school board, or I have brought to the school board, and any other like HVAC project that you guys will see in January here. Those larger projects that I bring for authorization.
that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding it, so thank you.
And if it's $175,000 or under, but it has to be included in the budget.
Correct.
Yes.
So it can't be like an unbudgeted $150,000.
Random.
Yeah,
Random.
rando.
Right.
We just
Thank you.
decided we were gonna buy new desks one day.
Or like a school-issued sports car or something, yeah. That's like.
You know, Brian, I've been seeing your car.
All right.
Anyway,
Okay, having said that, thanks for the clarity, Brian, appreciate it.
Yes.
Any more questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Superintendent Stenvik for the designation of the election clerk, which is not the parliamentarian. Excuse me for that confusion.
Yeah, Chair
Yes.
Stevenson, members of the board, here to recommend that the designee for election clerk be Dawn Hoyam, as she has been trained in this position and has served in this position since 2007. Wow. So that was the recommendation, and seeking approval for Dawn Hoyam to be our election clerk designee.
All right, motion to move that one forward.
So moved.
Mary,
Second.
second from Lorian. Discussion.
I don't see why we would have anybody else be our election clerk.
No.
Can we ask, is Dawn okay? Is that
Yeah,
not
are you
allowed to even ask?
It's an,
Okay. Just wanted to be
her
fair.
manager supervisor has said that's a good use of her time. All right. And she's darn good at it. All right, thank you, Dawn. We appreciate the help on that. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries. And we will invite Director Stunkel to talk to us about the designation of official newspaper.
Chair Severson, members of the board, Superintendent Stenvik. This evening I am here to share with you the information that we have received from the two bids for our official legal publication for the school district. And the selection of this official legal publication is based on Minnesota Statute 331A.02. The Northeaster and the Life, formerly the Columbia Heights Fridley Sun Focus, whose distribution covers some or all of the school district's boundaries, were sent a notice of submitting proposals on November 23rd, 2021, with a deadline of December 21st, 2021. Both the Life and the Northeaster newspapers submitted a bid prior to the deadline. Based on the review of the circulation area, frequency of publication, and pricing, it is for you all to determine which publication you would like to go with. I'd like to share with you that I submitted in the board packet both of the bids for board consideration. The Life, I'll just remind you, publishes weekly. The Northeaster publishes twice a month. The Life's current circulation area does cover the full school district boundary. The Northeaster has indicated in their bid that if they are deemed the legal newspaper, that they would expand their area, their circulation area, to include Southern Fridley in order to cover the entire district. The pricing per inch was included in your board packet as well. So in looking at the circulation area, the frequency of publication, and the pricing, it is my recommendation that the Life would be the official newspaper, but that is for you all to determine. Thank you.
All right, so right now the motion is to designate the Life as the official newspaper for the Columbia Heights Public School District. Can I get a motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Lorian, second?
Second.
Molly, discussion.
A couple comments.
Yeah, go ahead, Lauren.
Just looking at the bids, thank you, Director Stunkel, for providing these. Looking at the price per column inch and the distribution schedule, it would make sense for us, I think, to choose the Life, since they are distributing weekly and the price per column inch is less. That being said, the Northeaster is a great publication, and I really actually appreciate that they included in their proposal that they would distribute to Southern Fridley, because that has been missing in the past. But I think with the frequency of distribution, I think the Life
And
is
cost,
a good
yeah.
option.
What I'm trying to understand this and flipping back and forth between the two, I'm not entirely clear. But if we're looking at it, if the Life prints weekly and we're paying $11 per column inch weekly, and the Northeaster publishes twice a month and we're paying 20, isn't that less then? Because wouldn't it be $22 to no? Am I not understanding that?
I mean,
You don't
like,
have to print that frequently. So like the prints are, how many times we
Got
have
it.
to print?
we post like
Right.
our board minutes in there and other like mandatory public notice. Like a lot of the legislation revolves around us posting things in our local newspaper. Like we have to have a designated, like legally have to have a dead. So like we only post board minutes once. So while I understand the math, like that was astute to, it's like how much and when. And I don't know if there are implications, and then you can ask Director Stunkel or Superintendent Stenvik of the only having every other week. Is that
Yeah, thank you. One tricky item, one benefit to the every week publication is that when we have to go out for bids, and especially right now in this era of shipping delays and it's been really, really tricky. We're trying to get out for bid as soon as possible for any kind of construction or repair project. So I would agree, both of the newspapers, are wonderful to work with, and they work with Director Stunkel regularly. But that weekly does really help Director Hennikins and his crew to get those bids posted.
No, that makes sense. I think I always lean towards the Northeaster because it is a local paper and it is locally owned, where the Life is part of a conglomerate. And so I think wanting to support our community makes me lean that way. And that's why I wanted to ask that question about the price points and things. It's unfortunate about the every other week publishing piece. So.
good points? All good points. Any other discussion? Feel ready to move forward on this motion? All right, all those in favor of approving the Life as our official paper?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion carries. And looks like there's no opportunity for other here. It's not in the agenda. So I will adjourn this meeting at 6:34 PM.